A list of the topics, themes, and subject matter featured in this episode has been included in the episode description.
Hi, I'm Kenny, the DM for Fables of Frost and Fur, and I'm joined by my lovely cast.
Matt?
Kaylee.
Carmen.
Carmen, what can we expect from this episode?
We get haunted this episode, but not just by one ghost. Many that pop up for each character in different times. This is a longer one, but there is a lot jam-packed in here and a lot of emotions. So, thank you for sticking throughout the whole thing, and we appreciate all that you do.
Once again, as Carmen said, we could not do this without your support, so please like and subscribe. And if you're feeling generous, we have a Patreon. Your support goes a very long way to helping us do really, really cool things and to giving back to you guys. So without further ado, thank you and enjoy the episode. Previously on Fables of Frost and Fur, shortly after finding refuge in Le Papillon, a discreet bordello in the grungy port city of Vanois, it was revealed that there is more to Harlan than meets the eye. In a rare moment of privacy, he magically contacts an unknown figure who refers to Harlan as Lagarde. Amidst a dizzying number of names and locations discussed, it is revealed that Harlan is part of a group of mysterious figures searching for Poppy, and that she may not be the first to experience her transformation. Harlan did his best to misdirect the unknown figure and another member of that group he met in a back alley later that night, a woman named LaRousse. She, however, intuits much of the truth, but offers to help in getting the party to safety, despite Harlan's attempts to dissuade her before parting ways. He returned to the bordello to find that Poppy had unfortunately transformed back into a hairkin in front of both Marie as well as her lover, Josephine. Vianne convinced Harlan that both women could be trusted to keep a secret, and the women themselves offered to help. At Harlan's insistence, Marie left in the night to arrange for a boat to take Poppy out of the queendom and east to the nation of Savona. Later that night, Poppy awoke to hear a familiar voice outside. She snuck out of the bordello to find, on an empty city street, the hairkin man who killed her mother years ago. In a fit of rage and powered by her new beastkin strength, she rips out the man's throat, killing him. Blood pools by Poppy's knees, her body heaving with rage, straddled on top of the now lifeless corpse of a hairkin man with jet black ears. His throat open, gushing, even though his body no longer moves. The sun is starting to rise as Poppy lifts up her hand to see dangling from it the bloodied pendant that her mother had always worn. And she stares at it.
Poppy, just taking in the scene in front of her, the mangled corpse, the red-stained hands. Oh. No. I did this. She slowly begins to stand up and back away, clutching the pendant to her chest as she looks on in horror at the body.
She takes one step on the cobblestone streets, and then another, her eyes never leaving the corpse that she has left behind. And then her vision goes black. She feels the ground fall from beneath her, and she's soaring through a lightless, sunless sky. When her vision comes to, she sees herself plunging headfirst into a glowing green-blue sea. She turns and twists her body to look at the sky, and it is pitch black. Not a star in sight. As she hits the water, she feels the waves crashing and tumbling her body. As she struggles to maintain her vision, she surfaces and gasps for air. She could not breathe. She was underwater. She tries her best to swim, but the current is too strong. It batters her back and forth. All the while, as she stares up into the sky, she sees the face of a lion, more massive and incomprehensibly engulfing. No matter where she looks, left or right, that's all she sees. She does not understand how large and massive this thing is, but it stares right at her. Her vision blacks out again. She's falling once more, except now her vision comes to. In an instant, she sees the waxed, delicate floors of Le Papillon as she falls with a sickening thud on all fours, and a yelp is heard. Puppy? Puppy, is that you? What? How did you get in my bedroom? Poppy lifts up her head, and she sees Marie, the proprietor of the bordello Le Papillon, rise up from her bed in her nightgown as she reaches across the way and lights a match to light a lantern. The light illuminates the room, and Poppy can see that she is in the, frankly, very well-furnished bedroom of Madame Marie. Poppy, are you all right? You're soaking wet. Poppy looks down, and indeed, she is soaking wet. And she notices that her time, wherever she went, has washed the blood off of her. Poppy, it's cold, dear. Stand up. I'll stay right here. I'll fetch you some towels, all right?
Rope? Do you have a rope?
Yes. I'll grab you a rope right now. Stay right here, my dear. Stay right here. Just strip everything you have, all right?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Marie rushes out of the room, nice and quiet. As she opens the door, Poppy can see that the hallways are pitch black. It is still quite dark. The sun hasn't quite risen yet as she slips quietly out of the room.
As she's disrobing, Poppy will make sure everything comes off except for the pendant. She's going to wrap that around her neck and secure it so it falls against her own chest.
As Poppy places the pendant around her own neck, she can feel as she clasps the back, it settling in to her new fur that she's not used to having. And as it falls onto her chest, in this brief moment, it feels right, but only for a moment. Madame Marie enters the room again, quiet as a mouse, hands Poppy 2 towels, and holds a robe out.
With shaky hands, she is quick to dry off her body, making sure there's no blood in sight. She's checking under her cuticles, etched into the lines of her palms. She's just really making sure that the water really did clear everything up. And once she's positive that it's all gone, she will robe herself.
Okay, dear. Why don't you sit here with me? And she points at the bed.
You can't tell them. You can't.
Okay. Just sit down. I need to know. And she places a hand on Poppy's knee. I just need to know what happened.
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Okay, that's okay. Are you hurt?
No, I'm not.
Right. So we shouldn't tell Vivi and your uncle.
No.
All right. That's fine. We'll say that in the middle of the night you got up and you were confused where the water closet was and tripped over a vase of water. And I helped clean you up. How's that?
I can trust you, right?
Yes, my love, of course you can. And as she says this, you see next to the lantern that she has lit, she actually has a picture frame. And in this picture frame, you see what seems to be a black and white sepia-toned photo one of these new things that you have rarely seen, but you know exist, these machines that capture images in moments of time and then creates almost a little portrait, a little painting of whatever that moment in time was. You see that Marie has one in a nice wooden frame on her nightstand. It's a younger Marie, and she is holding what looks to be a 5 or 6 year old boy with the same colored hair.
Who's that?
Oh, that was my son, Boyce.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. Actually, Vivi was here to help me in my grief. But to answer your question, yes, you can trust me, my love. If Vivi loves you, then so do I. I know not what journey you have ahead of you, all of you. But rest assured, I take care of my own. Always. All my girls. I always take care of them.
Thank you. Is it okay if I stay in here for a little?
Oh, yes, my love, yes. Here, come here. And she pulls the sheets aside and says, Come, I'll tuck you in, love.
And as she climbs into the bed, Poppy reaches out a hand to her before she can go and just starts crying and crying.
To Poppy's surprise, Madame Marie slips under the sheets and embraces Poppy and just holds her until she falls asleep. When morning comes, Harlan feels a curious tapping on his forehead.
Harlan snaps awake and reaches for his weapons.
The moment he does so, he sees exactly what was tapping him on the head. It looks to be a wooden, life-size doll. And as you reach for your weapons rapidly, it backs up and screams, sort of skitters backwards on all fours, absolutely terrified of the sudden motion as it scrambles to get behind the desk, and it peers its head back out. It looks to be a creature made of wood, but not just any wood. It's finely carved in the shape of a child's, and it peers its face out, and its face is this surprisingly nimble and expressive moving wood, almost like there was liquid underneath it to sort of set its expressions of whatever it may be feeling. And right now, its eyes are wide, its mouth is gaping open, and it is shivering.
What in the frosty hell are you? Poppy? Vianne? Where's...
Harlan, what is that?
Where's Poppy?
Where is Poppy? Oh my god. Poppy? Vianne reaches towards the doll.
As she reaches towards the doll skitters once more, and it spots the stairs leading up to the lobby of Le Papillon. It scrambles on all fours up the stairs, and it even trips over itself a little bit, almost as if it's not used to the number of limbs that it has, and it's not in full control of whatever locomotion that this wooden body is giving it.
Harlan's gonna try to kick the door closed so that this thing runs straight into it.
Harlan tries his best, but in his tired state, just freshly awoken, he does trip a little over his feet, just enough for this wooden figure to escape and bust through the door and into the lobby. We now pan the camera quickly over to the bedroom of Madame Marie, which is on the second floor. We see a messy clump of sheets and a comforter as we hear the stirring underneath it, as Poppy hears this loud thump from the lobby.
Oh, what? Oh, Madame Marie? Madame Marie?
You look around the bedroom and there's no one there. It is quite empty.
Oh. She's going to bolt up and change back into her normal clothes. And once she's done so, bursts out the room and down the steps just to make sure everything's okay.
She comes down the stairs. She's met with the curious sight of a wooden life-size doll looking around frantically, panicking, and tripping over itself as it tries to get its bearings.
Whoa, what the? She's gonna try to make a grab for it?
It is absolutely running amok, but Poppy does manage to grab it. And as she does, the doll turns its head to look back at Poppy and immediately starts to calm down. You see this almost liquid wood change its expression on its face to that of comfort, and it sort of smiles, and then it tucks its head in between your chin and your chest and nuzzles itself to you.
Oh, hello. Good morning. Do I have any idea what this thing is?
You have no idea what this thing is.
Poppy's going to stroke it comfortingly and just kind of rock it in a very maternal way. She's like, there, that's okay. I think someone lost their contraption. And she's going to just say that, hopefully loud enough for someone to hear.
You hear from downstairs a very loud, damn it. Harlan runs to reopen the door he just slammed shut. You hear him scrambling up the stairs, the sound of a sword unsheathing.
Hey. Shh. Uncle Harlan, shh.
Poppy, get away from that thing. We have no idea what that is.
You're gonna scare it. I just got it to calm.
Scare it?
Oh no, it was running amok up here. Look. And she's gonna gesture to the fact that it's bundled up against her.
All right.
What is this thing?
I have no idea.
And you were just going to hack it to death?
No, I was gonna stop it. But where are you?
I woke up and I heard it. So I went to go ask Madame Marie about it, and then it followed me up.
You woke up and then this thing was tapping me on the forehead not 10 seconds ago.
Well, yeah, because I saw it in the basement, and then I wanted to know what it was.
Harmon, give me a deception check. And let's do it against active insight from Harlan.
Oh. That's a 4.
That is a 23.
Yeah.
Harlan definitely knows she is not telling the whole truth about it, but considering the fact that there's a strange wood monster in her arms, he is a little less focused on the lying at the moment.
There's a gesture and a look that Poppy knows. It says, we're coming back to this.
Right.
Okay. All right. Where did this come from? And he does shout, does anybody know? Does this belong to anybody?
At this declaration, bounding down the stairs, a collection of women. Madame Marie, her partner Josephine, as well as 2 of the aspiring courtesans, Colette and Bessette, running down the stairs, gasping at the sight. Josephine sprints up to Poppy. I don't understand. It wasn't working yesterday. I don't understand what changed. She kneels down, takes a look at the creature and says, there, are you working? And she puts her hand in front of its face. As she does so, the wooden creature sort of takes its hand and places it into the palm of hers. Oh, Divine Mother, I didn't think it'd actually work. I don't understand. It wasn't working yesterday. I didn't change a thing. Perhaps we should, go downstairs and out of sight, perhaps.
Marie, are you telling me that your customers have become this depraved?
Oh.
Excuse-moi, Vivi. No, this is a surprise to me as well. Josephine, you will explain yourself to me right now. And Josephine is incredibly sheepish. She says, I'd much rather talk about this downstairs and without yelling, please.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Puts his arm around and starts guiding people downstairs.
As all of you make your way down, Josephine gestures to the table in the center and gestures at Poppy. Would you kindly please put him down? I would like to inspect him.
She's going to place him on the table and just give him a pat on the head when she does.
The creature is a lot more calm now as it looks around curiously with a very, very inquisitive expression in its oddly magical wood face as it looks around at everyone. Josephine goes up and she checks its back. She grabs what looks to be a small little crowbar from the desk beside her. All right, hold still now. We're just going to... And she pops a wooden panel off of the back of this creature as it sort of giggles to itself. And you can hear a little childlike laughter as she does so.
Oh.
Okay, that's creepy.
Both Colette and Besset are just holding each other, just absolutely terrified, but they can't look away. And Marie just has her hands on her hips. She looks at Josephine and she says, you must start explaining yourself, darling. I know, I'm very tolerant of the things that you purchase and the things that you create down here. And I love you all the more for it. You have a brilliant, beautiful mind and I love it very much. But what in the Divine Mother's name is that, Josephine? Josephine pops the little wooden panel back on and she looks up at everyone. She brushes off her little apron and she says, everyone, I would like you to meet Toby.
Toby is an automaton. It wasn't recently until I sourced the correct parts. I started him years ago, but never really put time into him until I met Marie.
She looks down at her feet. Marie, my love, I'm sorry. It was silly. I thought I could ease your pain.
Oh.
I'm sorry. This was a stupid idea. And as she sort of fiddles with her fingers and looks down at herself, Marie wells up in tears. Oh, you stupid, stupid thing. And she comes up to her and gives her a massive embrace, kisses her repeatedly on the cheek. He's wonderful. I'm sure it'll be quite the oddity and the curiosity to show. But, yes, thank you, my dear. You must have worked so hard on this. Thank you. He's adorable. Thank you. The two of them have a quiet moment together.
This is why I've told Marie not to move in with her lovers after a week.
Baby, really?
Josephine, I've seen you tinker with things over the years, but this is another level.
Yes. I was quite inspired, actually. I love Marie very dearly, and seeing her pain, I wondered if we could take the same principles of magic in our world and apply them in smaller forms to objects that don't require robustness or need to face combat. And she starts to get a little more confident as she talks about this. And she runs over to her desk. If you would mind, I would love to explain it. And she looks expectantly at the three of you as well as to Marie and the two girls.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. This is amazing.
Fascinating.
Lovely, yes. You can see her face just immediately brighten up. In the day that you've known this woman, you have not seen her really smile brightly like this before or get animated at all. She's usually quite mousy and reserved. And she gets incredibly peppy. And she pulls out a bunch of hand-drawn schematics and she spreads them across the table next to the boy. Toby curiously just sort of starts poking at the paper very gently, observing its texture. Josephine continues on. All right, well, as you all know, the source of magic in our world, or the material world, as most magicians call it, is based out of the wondrous sea, the plane of existence outside of our own. As you know, we cannot access the wondrous sea. No one can go there or walk there or swim there, I suppose, since it's a sea. No one can go there. But we magicians, whether through innate talent or learned talent, can channel and create these sorts of portals and funnel the ambient magic from the wondrous sea into our material world through a prismatic filter. Now, most innate magicians use their own bodies and their own blood as prismatic filters, and in doing so, can channel the ambient magic into whatever frequency of magic that they want. And this frequency and intensity colors the magic into whatever form they wish or intended it to be into the material world, and thus you have magic. Now, for us learned magicians, we do not have that luxury. Therefore, we must use the arcane incantations in the ancient language. That is to say, the language of the ancients before the Great Fracture. And in doing so, using our hands to create a prismatic filter ourselves in the material world. I wondered, would it be possible to inscribe those words into a material such as wood or steel, then channel that magic itself into a chamber, much like a siphon firearm, actually, into that chamber where those words are, and in doing so, create the prismatic filter of the correct frequency and intensity to cast the magic without having a user need to do it. Much like a firearm.
Pardon me, Josephine, you're telling me that you have created a Mathesian fractal, but you're not using anything to stop the tertiary magical output?
Her expression immediately brightens as she turns directly towards Vianne, very, very excited to talk about the subject. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing. I had a lot of trouble with the output. It caused some undesirable effects, but I have found, depending on the coefficient of elasticity in each material, I can actually filter out the outputs as well.
Wait a minute. You're saying this is all just new material? Looking at the schematic here, and is that an ancient artifact?
She immediately gets sheepish again. She just closes in on herself and she grasps her hand. Yes, well, yes and no. I know it looks like, an artifact of the ancients, but it's actually, it's manufactured.
You're recreating something that the ancients were able to make.
No, I unfortunately do not have the expertise nor the, facilities, as you see. And she points around to this very, very humble workshop. It is actually, and she is sort of looking down at her feet. It's, of a Castano design, actually. And it's, sort of a knockoff.
How many of your prototypes have exploded then?
None have exploded. And she looks at Marie, whose eyes sort of like go, in my home? No, I promise. This one is stable. It's not... I didn't experiment with it. I did not manufacture it. The scientists I got it from assured me that when they reverse engineered the original battery, that they fixed all the problems, including that of explosions, intended or not.
Vianne is very surprised, but more so than her curiosity about this creature and the pressure of their situation. She's surprised at a little word that Harlan dropped. In all the years he's known Josephine, can she glean any more off of that little slip?
Yeah, he's not trying to hide anything in this particular moment. There was other things to worry about. But, no, yeah, they've met.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, it seems as though since we're all so comfortable with the arcane, that this will be an excellent way for us to amuse ourselves while we are waiting for safety.
The moment you say this, Toby hops off the table and makes his way over to Marie. Marie turns and looks down at him. Yes, little one. And Toby just opens his arms and runs and hugs her legs.
Oh.
While everyone's, kind of looking at each other, can Poppy, skirt over to the workbench and look at the drawings that Josephine has available? Is there any depictions of the Wondrous Sea?
As she looks at the various pictures and schematics that are not hidden at all, messily strewn about, she sees nothing of the sort. As she's gone closer to the wall, she can look through the little basement window. And as she looks out there, she sees a busy street. And as she turns and looks back, she catches Marie's eyes, and Marie smiles at her, and she winks.
Poppy is just kind of stun-locked.
She catches Marie's eyes, and she winks. Poppy feels that the Madame of Le Papillon has cleaned up many, many messes outside of her bordello, and this one was no different.
Do we notice any of that?
You do not. You notice a little smile, just sort of like, yes, my dear, there's a window there. Both you and Vianne think little of it. Looks like Poppy's just looking at science that she probably does not understand.
None of it.
Marie turns back to Harlan and says, yes, business now. So, as you were all sleeping, I took the liberty upon myself to reach out to some of my contacts, and I am pleased to inform you, monsieur, madame, mademoiselle, that I have secured passage for the three of you on board a ship called La Volta to sail for Savona. The ship is not here yet. It will arrive in 4 days' time. When it does so, she will unload, and in a few hours she will set sail back to Savona, and you three will be on the ship and be on your merry way.
Marie.
Yes, I know, Vivi. Just write me, will you, please?
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course, my love.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Madame Marie. I'm not sure how we can repay you.
Well, I'm sure I can think of a few ways, but for now, we'll just say you owe, not myself, but Le Papillon, a favor. How's that?
Well, it's very generous of you.
Of course. Now, that being said, you have 4 days to yourselves and to tidy up whatever affairs you have. My girls, and she points to Bessette and Colette, have been asking around, discreetly, of course, and it seems that the colonel here of the Frost Guard have no intention to put in any extraordinary amount of effort into looking for beastskin woman with half ginger, half brown hair. So, you might not want to flaunt around how you look, Poppy, but I would say it's probably safe for you to roam about the city as long as you do not cause any trouble. But to make sure, I have instructed Bessette and Colette here to teach you how to do your makeup, my dear, please. I know you're not used to it, but please, we have to get you looking the right way. Isn't that right, girls? And the two Lionkin girls just sort of smile and shake their heads, and one of them crosses her arms and looks at you up and down and just sort of tuts quietly.
Oh, thank you for that. I'm not opposed. I just don't. I've never really learned how to cover the freckles.
Marie goes over to Harlan and Vianne and pulls them aside. Don't worry. They believe that she was always a beastkin and that she's a sorcier like Vianne, that she just wears an illusion.
Thank you, Marie.
Of course. Now, I believe that the three of you girls have a date upstairs. So why don't you go and learn how to put on a face, my dear?
Okay. Thank you for everything, Marie.
Really, Poppy, it is a woman's first weapon in this world. Master it, and it will never fail you.
She's decidedly not looking at Uncle Harlan as she makes her way upstairs.
Marie turns back to Harlan and Vianne, and there's a moment in which she thinks about saying something to them, and then, without a change of expression, immediately switches over. So, any of you require any assistance in tidying up your affairs here?
No, I only regret that saying goodbye to you is one of them.
Oh, my dear, I'm sure you'll be back at some point.
It will be a very, very long time. I trust that Josephine will take good care of you.
She reaches out her hands and grabs Vianne's and says, well, we have 4 days to have as much fun as we can. And once we reach that point, just write me, please.
I will, my love.
All right. Come, let us go about our day. And she looks down at the little wooden figure still attached to her leg, and she pets it and she says, oh, you're so cute. All right, let's see what we can teach you, shall we?
Now, it's amazing how fast she was able to put that ship together for us. What would she call it? The Volta?
La Volta. Unfortunately, it flies under the solid burgundy flag of the Stacci Familia. It's fast passage, but they are the most ruthless slave poachers in Frakti.
Can we trust them?
No.
I know we can't. Clearly, we can't trust them. Can we trust them to get us to where we need to go?
They trust gold. If they think that we are worth more to them alive, they will be useful.
Right.
It's breath that is such a hard choice. But she did it. It's the impossible. 4 days.
4 days.
No questions asked.
Right. She was very ready to accept that little fella as part of the family. Is that normal for her? I know it is for Josephine. She's just kind of always a little bit of a tunnel vision, that one.
Harlan, I suggest you use your free time over the next 4 days to get to know Marie better yourself. Her secrets are not mine to give. Good day.
All right.
Carmen, Matt, Kaylee, you have 4 days to tie up any loose ends and to settle any of the affairs that Poppy, Harlan, and Vienne have. We turn first to Harlan. Harlan makes his way immediately back up the stairs to the sound of giggling as he rounds the corner into one of the bedrooms of what he presumes to be one of these girls, where they have Poppy seated in front of the boudoir, in front of the mirror, and they are arguing amongst each other. No, that rouge is much too red. She needs this shade. No. Why are you using that shade of rouge? It's much too red. No, what? This is the right shade for her fur tone. I don't know what to tell you. No, if you use that shade, she'll look like one of those lowly grisettes who walk about the docks at night. She must be higher class than that.
Harlan walks in and shuffles on the table, picks up a little kit, hands to them. That one matches her complexion the best.
And they both turn to look at Harlan, and for a moment, their tails go vertical and their ears kind of perk up, and then they sort of flatten out across their heads as they sort of squint their eyes at Harlan in sync. And they both grab it out of Harlan's hands, and they pop it open. They say, not bad, human. And they return to putting on makeup for Poppy.
Uncle Harlan, now what do you know about makeup?
A few things here and there. Picked up a couple things.
Really?
Yeah. We're gonna put a pin in this, but we need to have a little conversation.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. So when you're done here, I'm gonna have a little conversation, all right?
Yeah. All right, Uncle Harlan.
The camera cuts to the busy streets of Vanois, now mid-morning, in all of her disgusting glory. The fishmongers barreling half-rotting fish up and down the docks. Streets filled with urchins running about, giggling and causing all sorts of mayhem. Blacksmiths yelling at folks over whether or not their knives need to be sharpened or not. It is a cacophony of shouts, curses, and yells, and Vienne could not feel more comfortable.
Vienne dances through puddles of muck and unidentified liquids like a practiced ballerina. This is her stage. She recognizes the sounds of people getting ripped off and laughs at all of them. She knows the streets that aren't marked. And down one of these alleys is a quick errand. She steps into a hotel called The Other Tonys. Antonio, come back.
From behind the reception desk, she hears a loud thud. A rather portly man emerges from behind the reception desk and says, I was not expecting you to be back so soon.
¿Cómo está, mio caro? I'm sorry, but this is me checking out for a while.
Well, this is a surprise, Vian. I was not expecting you to leave, ever.
And I will also have to be taking all of my gold. as well, you understand.
He leans over the desk, sweeps his very greasy hair back as if in a younger age, in a time long, long ago, that actually worked.
Oh, no.
And he looks directly at Vian and says, surely you cannot be persuaded to stay for a little bit.
All of it, Tony. Even the gold that's under the mattress.
Fine. I assume you do not want to take the bed with you.
I would take you if I could. Ciao.
Pretty lies. Okay. When do you need it by?
Right now.
You. And he leans over once more in the desk and points a finger at her and says, you are going to get me in trouble one day.
I thought I already had. And she plants a kiss on his cheek.
Ooh.
One day. I will not fall for that.
Lucky for me, it's not today.
I see.
And with that, Vian liquidates all that remains of her worldly wealth. A skosh over 200 gold. Most of her net worth lies in carefully placed investments, favors that haven't yet been realized. But here at the other Tony's hotel, the only permanent address she's kept for 20 years, this has been her solace and her bank. And when the coin purse is returned to her, heavy, with promise, she feels a little bit of a lump in her throat. All right, Tony. I don't know when we'll be meeting next, but may the storm hag keep your sails full.
Grazie, signora.
And Vian takes back out to the streets, now with a mission of turning that gold into the supplies that they will need for their voyage. She is an adept buyer. She knows what they will not have access to when they are on the open seas, and it's small, valuable trinkets, things that are worth more than their weight when they're hard to get. Things like chocolate, perfumes, paper, tools, rations, things to survive in the open wilds, because while Harlan thinks that their final destination is Savona, Vian's preparing herself for anything.
The camera cuts back to the bedroom of two aspiring courtesans as they finish up putting makeup on Poppy's face, and they spin the chair around and they hold their breaths and they stare down at her in anticipation as she looks at the mirror.
Wow. No.
She loves it.
And they squeal and they clasp each other's hands and they jump up and down, their tails wagging back and forth.
Oh, really? No, you two outdid yourself. I don't. And she's gonna pull out a cheek and lift an eyebrow to stare at her eyes. What did you do on my eyelids? What is this? What color is this, actually?
No,
Sorry?
don't. You mustn't touch it, dear. You mustn't touch it. It's perfect. Do not touch it until it's time to turn in for the night, or when you are alone. Then you can take it off. Simple washcloth, bits of water.
All right.
Try not to cry. It tends to run.
Okay.
And if you ever anticipate sweating, make sure you are on your back.
Sweat on your back. Don't cry. Okay,
Yes.
I think this is what being a woman is.
Yes, my love. Yes, it is.
Okay, I think I need a notebook. Could one of you grab me some spare parchment that you've lying around?
Of course. Yes, of course. We'll be right back. They hold hands and they skip out of the room. Poppy looks in the mirror. Objectively, she is very surprised as she looks quite beautiful. The girls did, in their word, do a fine job. She is wearing makeup of the most current style, and it's done very, very well.
She admires herself for a bit, but then the second their infectious energy is far away from the door, she just kind of slumps back and lets out a long, suffering sigh. Because that was hours. That was hours of makeup on her face.
Absolutely. It took so long, and Uncle Harlan sat through all of it.
I mean, he wandered downstairs at some point and went outside around to the blacksmith. Oh my gosh, you're done.
I'm done. Yeah. What do you think? He told me to sweat on my back and not to cry.
Right. Well, we sweat on our feet, and we do what we have to do because we live in the real world. But it's good. It looks good. Yeah.
Thank you. Where were you? You dipped out for a little bit.
Here, this is for you.
Is this the keychain, Uncle Harlan?
Yeah. I tried to get it for you last night, but it was closed.
Really? Oh, let me see it. And she's going to grab it from your hand before you can even offer it again, and she's just going to stare at it very excitedly.
It has the coat of arms of Vanois, an old coat of arms. It's a shield. The left half is red, the right half is blue, and emblazoned on it is a white lion that is encompassed in laurels.
Oh, wow.
Well, we need to talk, but we also... Have you ever had a Savonian cloud?
I don't even know what those two words mean together when you put them like that.
It's a drink. It's a coffee drink.
Coffee?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I ever have, no.
All right. There's a nice place. It's not too far. Let's go there.
Okay. I'd love to.
The two of you leave Le Papillon, and it is mid-afternoon, and the sun is well past its zenith. You continue down the Rue de Fleur, and you stop by a little cute coffee shop. And as you tilt your heads upwards, you can see a faded wooden banner that really needs revarnishing desperately, but has not. And you see in faded paint a sign that says Mermaid Dan's.
Mermaid Dan's.
Sometimes things make sense in one language and less. And anyways, don't let the sign fool you. This place is the best in Vanois.
All right. No, yep.
The two of you walk in, and you find yourselves in an incredibly cozy space with surprisingly well-maintained wood in its walls, tables, chairs with beautiful embroidered cushions. This place is much nicer than its exterior would have you believe. And as you walk in, you catch the sight of a man with jet black hair and is very, very, very short in an incredibly well-tailored blue vest and matching trousers as he sort of wheels his head around from serving two customers seated at the back and says, "I'll be right there with you."
No, it's all right.
Harlan.
Giancarlo, how's it going?
Harlan, I wasn't expecting you back so soon. What's it been, 5-6 years?
Really? It's been that long already?
Yes, you old fool. It's been that long. Come here! He puts his sort of little notepad down, walks over to Harlan and gives him a hug. And this man is quite short. His head goes up to Harlan's chest.
Upon seeing this jovial reunion, Poppy just kind of stares with almost a bit of sadness in her eyes as she takes in a very familiar scene of Uncle Harlan coming back to a family and the joyous reunion of pulling him into a hug.
Well, this is Bella. She's like family to me. So we're going to treat her right.
Buongiorno, madame.
Nice to meet you.
So, what can I get you? Come, sit. Right here. Best table in the house. And he pulls up the chair next to the window where you have this beautiful view outside of the rest of the intersecting street between the Rue de Fleur and the Rue des Palais.
See? Not all of Vanois like that.
Ha! He says that, but you haven't seen me play cards yet. I'm as dirty as they come.
Oh, a gambler, are you?
Oh, in my spare time.
I can see why you two are friends then.
Those tales get exaggerated in the retelling, Pippo.
Sure.
Oh, I mean, are they really exaggerated? I've cleaned you out probably 7 times across the time I've known you.
Okay. Yeah. So you have.
Poppy slams her hand on the table. I knew it. See?
He's much better than your pal. Sorry, can we get 2 of your clouds, please.
2 Savonan clouds coming right up. And he whisks away back behind the counter as you see him pour out these various liquids from various jars. And you see this contraption in the back that has this mysterious green glow inside these little portholes by this machine. He pushes a few things on it and it whirls up and you hear steam pressurizing and releasing from certain parts of it. And Poppy, you have no idea what is going on. It's a flurry back there. And once it finally finishes, with an adeptness of a man who has done this at least 10,000 times, he cleans up all of his work and he brings over 2 mugs. And in these mugs is the most wonderful smelling coffee you have ever smelled. On top of them, you see this luscious white foam liquid on top that's hilariously in the shape of a heart.
Oh. Poppy goes in to smell it fully with her nose, but she's not quite used to her hairkin senses at the moment. So the second she takes a big whiff, her whole face kind of scrunches up as the overwhelming smell of coffee just floods her. Oh.
Well, that's okay. You know, there's magic, and then there's what you can do, Giancarlo. This is magic.
The secret is in the beans, and that's why it's a Savonan cloud. I know, it's all the rage, the coffee coming from Wabar, I know, but if you ask me, Wabari coffee, the scent is not quite the same.
No.
It's not as aromatic.
No substitute.
There's no substitute for Savonan beans, that's right.
Well, she's gonna sip it. Give it a try.
She had expected a bitterness to completely encompass her tongue, and instead what she finds is a delicate, just creamy enough, sweet enough taste. It floods the senses with the warm, fresh smell of coffee, and it's like a jolt through her body as she is revitalized by the caffeine in this drink.
That's amazing. That's great.
Carlin's just smiling at her, taking this all in.
All right, I'll leave the 2 of you. Call me over if you want another. And he puts the towel that he had been using to wipe the table over his shoulder. He bows a little bit and he goes and attends to the other guests. The camera now turns back to Vianne. The sun is now starting to lower just a little bit in the sky. It's not quite turning orange yet, but it's just about to.
Favorite time of day when the smell of shit wafts in from the docks. This is also the time of day that Vianne has been dreading. Her knapsack now is heavy with all of the supplies that they will need for the journey that lies ahead. Her gold is noticeably lighter, and in her hand she clutches 2 carefully written letters. The sun is setting, but she knows the way she would know it blindfolded. To the Lightfoot Courier Company, somewhat on the edge of town. And as she approaches the door, she takes a deep breath. This is a one-way trip, this knowledge. But she puts on a smile, like she always does, and she enters.
As she walks through the double doors of the Lightfoot Courier Company, she's immediately bombarded by the sounds of moving bodies and angry couriers as they shout at one another, pick up packages, throw them at each other, throw them on the ground sometimes with little care for the integrity of the package, as is just a general amount of chaos. At the center of the room, there is a counter space that is actually 4 counter spaces that forming a square, and there are workers inside of this square. Above that, attached to the ceiling, are these little steel tracks that are hung from the ceiling. You see different workers attaching things to hooks and then slinging them around across the room into various parts of the building, mostly coming down, but occasionally coming across. As you see, there are little pulley systems for when these workers want to place something up and bring it up to the second floor, almost like a dumbwaiter. You see that inside of this 4-story building, really, the floors are only on the edges. The entire center of this building goes all the way up to a roof where there's a gorgeous, gorgeous sunroof where light streams in from this beautiful glass, which is a stark contrast to the utter chaos and the swear words that are just absolutely being thrown around in this room. As Vienne approaches the front desk, she sees a hairkin woman, one with bright blonde hair and deep brown eyes, bring her head up from behind the counter, try to make herself look presentable, and then lean over to the desk and in very, very, very exasperated expression say, "Welcome to the Lightfoot Courier Company. How may we help you today?"
I have letters for Darno, and Darno only.
You have letters for Darno? Yeah, and I fondled Inga's tits. What else is new?
Oh! Perhaps this will convince you otherwise. And Vienne slips her a silver, which is much more precious now that we've spent nearly all of it.
The hairkin woman looks down, and then she looks back at Vienne. All right, I see you. And she places her hand over Vienne's, and then quickly pulls it away, and the silver's gone. All right, what do you need?
I have one going west to Wolfhold, one going north to Port de Glace. Vienne takes out both the letters. The one in her left hand is small and heavily sealed. It's almost round with the contents inside it bulging through. The one in her right hand is large, delicate, perfumed paper.
All right, so which one's going to Port de Glace?
The pretty one. Like you, my dear. Vienne hands her the perfumed letter.
Yeah, all right. Expect time frame?
That's why I asked for Darno. It needs to get there in 2 days.
Oh, shit. All right. All right, I'll tell you what, love. The one going to Port de Glace, Darno can get through. That's easy. Wolfhold, less easy. Less easy. There's a lot of trouble on the road, yeah. So that one might be maybe a week, maybe more.
The time is not as important as the secrecy. I will pay whatever it costs.
Yep, understood. Stay here, love. Let me go get my manager, and yeah, we'll get it sorted out. And she runs off with the 2 packages, as Vienne is sort of left there with her thoughts.
Seeing those letters disappear into that woman's hands makes Vienne wonder for a moment if she made the right choice.
The hairkin woman comes back without the letters in hand, and she leans on the desk and says, "All right, love, listen, lots of people pulling favors with Darno right now. So, the price for this is 100 gold.
She counts what's left of her gold. 163 gold left. If only she knew what the value of that letter was. And she doesn't need to know. Thank you very much for the bargain and your understanding, of course. I do know that Darno is a hard man to get these days. Tell him it's from his old friend.
Who's that?
Legant.
The woman immediately backs up. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I meant no disrespect, madame.
None. You're fine. You're being a very, very good employee. I'll have to tell him that he's made an excellent hire with you. 100 gold is a fair price.
No, actually, madame, I'm so sorry. I actually, I made a mistake. That was the price for the previous week. This week it's simply 50. Here's your 50 gold back. I'm so sorry. That was my mistake. Please forgive me.
You're so accommodating. Thank you, darling. Here, take a gold for your troubles.
No, I couldn't, madame. Please, I don't want it. Please, I really don't want it.
Vienne whispers into the girl's mind before she leaves. The value of that letter going to Wolfhold cost 4 men their lives. And the one going to Port de Glace is priceless.
As she walks out of this building, she hears a screech behind her as the doors close. We cut back to Harlan and Poppy gazing out the window as they enjoy an afternoon coffee.
Now, you weren't being completely forthright with me this morning. What was that about?
I spent the night in Marie's room.
All night?
All night. And Poppy will just stare at him with a very deadpan face.
Why'd you do that? We're trying to keep you safe downstairs.
I had a nightmare. Someone I didn't ever want to see again visited me. I couldn't sleep. I didn't want to wake you too. I know how much sleep matters when you're taking care of me.
Now, who was this in this nightmare of yours?
Poppy's expression just kind of fractures a bit. The emotion she's been trying so hard to push back floods into her eyes, and in a whisper, she says, "Don't make me say it, Uncle Arlen.
Make you say what?
I can't. Arlen, I can't."
He reaches across the table and takes Poppy's hands in his and says, "It's all right. Just tell me. It'll feel better."
As she clasps his hand, heavy breathing, her head just falls down and sobs rack her body as she starts incoherently. He killed her, Uncle Arlen. I didn't know what to do. I saw him again. I didn't know what to do. I was so angry. I saw him and he killed her.
Shh. What? You saw who?
Without explaining anymore, still sobbing, she's going to reach beneath her armor and reveal the pendant. She's inconsolable at the moment.
Arlen reaches out for the pendant, cradles it in his hand. Then you saw.
Yeah.
How did you know it was him? You said she was already gone by the time you arrived.
I lied. I've been lying. I lied to you and I lied to Paul because I couldn't kill him. I couldn't kill him when he was right in front of me and he had her. And then I saw him again and I couldn't let him go, Uncle Arlen. I couldn't.
What happened? Where's...
I don't know. I think Marie took care of me. I don't know. I don't know how I got back. I was suddenly in her room and I was wet and I was cold and I was afraid, Harlan.
You were wet and cold. What?
I don't know.
All right. Shh. It's all right. You killed him.
I wish I hadn't. I don't know why I did.
It's okay. No. And you see just a moment of relief come over his face. It's all right.
He killed her, Uncle Arlen.
Yeah. He starts crying himself. Oh, girls. All right. He kisses her on the forehead. You didn't do the right way, but you did what should be done.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. You're okay. He didn't hurt you. It's okay. All right. Let's get out of here. Andy leaves the money on the table.
The two of you silently make your way back up Rue de Fleur, and you get to the front doors of Le Papillon.
So, where did it happen?
It couldn't have been far. I heard him from outside the window in the basement. I followed him. It was...
All right. And Harlan looks to see the basement window and just casually but thoroughly combs the alley looking for any traces that might have been left.
As he does so, Vianne walks down the street and sees the two of you. She takes a look at Harlan and walks past him and takes a walk over to Poppy.
Poppy is still gripping this pendant that you've never seen her wear before in her hand with just the most broken face.
Matt, I want you to roll investigation for me.
That's a 4. I think, honestly, there's still tears in his eyes.
There are, in fact, still tears in his eyes as he looks around. He sees the street is, in fact, spotless. He cannot find any markings, any signs of blood. He sees nothing in front of Le Papillon.
Okay.
Poppy, you've been crying.
Yeah, I wasn't entirely truthful with the two of you last night. And I ran into someone. The man who killed my mother. And I killed him.
You're sure he's dead?
I don't think there's a way he could be alive.
Then you did well.
I don't know if I did.
Yes, you did.
What makes me different than him when he killed her? What?
There's nothing different between us, Poppy. There's only those who survive.
Harlan walks back to the Mademoiselle Vianne.
I understand.
Let's get inside.
The three of you open the doors to Le Papillon and you enter what seems to be a slow work night. There are a few Arthurs around lounging with some of the girls that you've come to know over the course of a day. And as you walk in, no one bats an eye at the three of you. But Marie does catch you walking in at the top of the stairs where she is holding Toby in her arms like a babe. And she smiles at you. The wooden boy turns his head. His face shifts and he smiles and he reaches out his arm and waves back at you. The three of you turn in for the night. And as you sleep, Poppy, for the first time in a long time, you sleep soundly through the night. The following day is another bright and sunny day in the disgusting city of Vanois, as usual. The doors of Le Papillon open, and Harlan walks out in a bit of a haste.
Harlan is going to head back to the coffee shop today on his own to Mermaid Dance.
Taking a look around, instinctually and habitually searching to make sure no one's trailing him, he takes a stroll down Rue de Fleur, and he approaches the familiar and comforting sight of Mermaid Dance. As he walks through the front door to the cafe, he can see that it is mostly empty, with only Giancarlo behind the countertop. Ah, you're back already.
There's some places that are just worth coming back to.
Oh, what a flatterer you are.
Oh, come on. Some places are special. And your establishment is one of those places.
All right. Fork over the cash. I'll give you a drink. Another Savone and Cloud, is it?
Yeah, Savone and Cloud.
Coming right up.
Hey, something's working. Why change it, right?
Why change it indeed? And he goes off behind the countertop and he rushes in a blur of movement to make this drink. And as he does so, you notice the last patrons of this cafe exit, big smiles on their faces. They walk out the door, and as it swings closed, Giancarlo turns back and hands you a warm and comforting cup of Savone and coffee.
Thank you. Look at that. My usual table's open.
It's all yours, friend.
Harlan takes a seat, starts sipping his drink, and looks out the window. You know, people disparage this town a lot, but, the view from here looks great to me.
The only home I've ever known. Are you leaving soon?
Yeah, I think so. I hope I can make it back here at least one more time. I really do love it here.
And you have to bring that Bella back sometime. Cute as a button, that one. For a hairkin, of course.
Yeah. Well, she's got her own things she needs doing.
Of course. I'll leave you to it, and he knocks on the table twice, and he walks away.
As he sits there sipping his drink, closes his eyes, and the sun shines on his face, he looks old and tired. The weariness of someone who's been worrying constantly for the last few days. He opens his eyes. Hey, is that WC in the same place it always is? You haven't moved it, have you?
Ha! I wish I could. No, unfortunately, it's still as tight as you remember. Good luck.
Right. And he gets up and walks towards WC. Closes the door behind him and locks it. And his demeanor changes. He starts moving quickly, purposefully. He touches the wall. His hand glows with an icy blue light. The wall in response glows with a blue rune, and then one on the floor, and a panel silently opens, revealing a staircase. As he descends, and the panel closes behind him, leaving no trace, light fills the room he has entered, which is a long chamber. The first thing he encounters are small bags filled with supplies, ready-made to go in different situations. He walks past those and comes to rows of all kinds of clothing, from beggar's rags to ball gowns, along with canes, parasols, crutches, jewelry, and all sorts of other accessories. Past that, almost like an audience looking on, are rows of wigs. He passes by all of these and comes to shelves of mundane supplies. It's things like rope, rations. Without pausing, he grabs a few flasks, some rations, and a couple of other sundries, and puts them into his bag, where they disappear. Besides these supplies are sacks full of coin. And he grabs one, thinks a moment, grabs two more. Now he's almost reached the end of the chamber, and there is racks and racks of weaponry. Swords and poignards, much like the one he carries, going from the very plain to the beautifully ornamented. Also, firearms. He passes by the blades, grabs a simple pistol, quickly examines it, and puts it into his coat pocket. He then grabs a rifle and, impossibly, lowers it into his bag. He makes a quick scan, and his eyes alight upon two beautifully ornamented pistols. And he thinks back to the day this started, to Poppy's trial, and to that beautiful pistol that would have been her prize. But then he thinks better of it and grabs two other simple pistols and puts them into his bag. One more quick scan, and then quickly heads towards the exit. He's almost there when he stops. He sees an emerald ball gown and a navy blue suit, both decades out of fashion, and a small smile creeps across his face, as if he was reliving a cherished memory. Then he shakes his head, sighs, and ascends the stairs. The panel again responds to his touch, opens, he exits, and the panel closes behind him. He turns, flushes the WC, and exits back into the cafe.
He strolls to the front of the cafe, where Giancarlo perks up from behind the counter. His cafe is still empty. And he looks at Harlan, and he smiles. I've missed you.
I've missed you too, friend.
Come back soon, you hear?
Try not to make promises I can't keep, Giancarlo.
All right, you. Visit when you can. I'll still be here.
He embraces the much smaller man, holds him by the shoulders and looks at him for a moment, smiles, nods, and leaves Mermaid Dance.
Harlan leaves the cafe onto the sunny streets and makes his way back. The camera turns back to Le Papillon, where we see Poppy in one of the bedrooms on the second floor, sitting on a bed by herself.
With the rare moment of alone time, knowing that Vienne is out preparing for their journey and Harlan said he'd be back after a little walk, Poppy quickly walks over to the door of her in-bedroom and pulls out a small spool of wire and, with deft fingers, mimics an action she had seen her father do multiple times but never been able to recreate herself. Steeling herself, she takes a moment and mimics the exact words that he used in the exact way he used them to cast alarm. Once complete, she settles herself down in the corner of the room farthest from the door and in crisscross applesauce position begins to think. She pulls up every memory she has of the wondrous sea, every dream she's been cast into that dark plane of existence with endless water and twilight sky. She brings it all to the forefront of her memory and, grabbing her hair, almost pulling it out with stress and frustration, tries to conjure up the mental space she had been in when she last visited there. It takes hours of practicing, of pacing back and forth, willing her mind to go back to that space, and suddenly she's half a step into one of the many pacings she's been doing, and she uses the ability Beyond the Sea.
For our listeners, we have homebrewed a special class for Poppy. Poppy focuses her mind and she can hear the sound of crashing waves. When she opens her eyes, she sees nothing but the starless night sky of the wondrous sea. She is sitting on the water. She doesn't feel it. It's almost as if it just softly undulates beneath her like moving earth as she gazes around.
All right, I'm here. And we're heading south, so whoever you are that told us to do that, we're trying, but why? What's the reason? She's gonna yell out into the darkness, voice almost echoing back to her in the vast infinity that exists before her.
Silence. For a moment, for two, she hears whispering. They grow, and she can't make out what they're saying until they get close. Very close. Until behind her she hears, "It should have been me."
Whipping her head around, she's trying to catch a glimpse of whatever that is.
She turns around, and wading through the waters is an enormous beast with a stripe of white fur running down its head. It looks to be, or want to be, the form of a badger. As it pads its way closer and closer, the waters parting, and it growls. "Why them? It should have been me." And it raises its massive paw, and it slams it down on Poppy. Poppy blinks, and she's back in her bedroom.
The closest dresser, she puts her hands down on it, hangs her head, and just breathes.
As she takes a breath and she looks down at her feet, she sees little wisps of green smoke. It starts with 1, and then 2. And then the entire floor seems to be sublimating from solid to gas as this green smoke fills the air. She breathes it in, and it's like breathing in pure energy.
Completely at a loss of what this is or what to do, she starts to back up from it, almost afraid of being exposed to it too much.
She hears a scream from downstairs, and then the shattering of glass.
Oh, she's gonna open the door and bolt downstairs.
And as she makes her way down, she can see the shattered window at the front of Le Papillon and a very, very distraught Marie.
What happened? What happened?
I don't know. One moment we were playing, and then he just stopped, and then he just turned, and I don't know what happened. It's almost like force magic. He just pushed me away, and he ran, and he jumped through the window, and he just ran down.
Toby did this?
Yes, I don't know. Please, we have to go after him.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Harlan and Vianne are outside on the street, and moments ago, the two of you both saw each other, and then you both saw this wooden boy break through the window of Le Papillon and take off.
That's Toby. Something's wrong.
Oh, I never trusted that damn thing.
We should go after it.
Where's Poppy?
Here, right here. Marie, it went that way, right?
Yeah, yes, I see it. Please, Vivi, please, we have to go after him.
Of course.
The four of you run down the evening streets of Vanois, and along your path are illuminated tiny little footprints that leave behind glowing green wisps of smoke in their wake.
Oh, fuck.
You keep running and following these footsteps as crowds begin to gawk and point down the way that the footsteps point. You run and you run, Marie getting more frantic and screaming after Toby. Except she doesn't call him Toby. Boys, please come back to Mummy, please! Boys! You run and you run and you run until finally you reach the docks of Vanois. And down one of the piers, you see a glowing green boy. As he turns around and looks at the four of you with sad eyes, Marie runs up front and says, "Please, boys, please don't go. I need you, please. Please don't leave Mummy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The wooden boy is expressionless. "I'm sorry, Mummy." In a wooden, tinny, otherworldly voice. "I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry I lied. I was just so scared. I know you didn't want me to play by the dogs, and I'm sorry I lied." Marie collapses onto her knees. "Please, boys, just stay with Mummy, please. I need you."
You don't get to hold this pain. You are not Boyce. Marie, this is not your child.
No, it's him. I know it's him.
He's screwing with your mind, Marie.
No.
Drop him in the harbor where he belongs.
The wooden boy at the end of the pier lifts into the air 15, 20 feet as he looks at you and says, "I'm sorry, Mummy. I can't hold them back. I'm sorry. They're coming." And at this, you see that every person has cleared from these docks, and in their place are these massive purple circular objects growing and growing in size, the center of them pitch black, until you see an emerging of claws, one after the other, and then feet emerging as you see monsters unlike anything you have ever seen in this world emerge from your nightmares. Roll for initiative.
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay. Oh, God. That is a 15.
16? And I'm going to choose to swap it with Matt.
That's a 6 for Vian.
You see emerging from 3 purple portals floating through the air. One near the doll, the other directly behind you on the pier, cutting off your way, and the third to the west of you, across another smaller pier, each portal summoning 2 monstrosities that you have never before seen. And it is the top of the turn. From behind you, a monster erupts from the portal and rushes towards Vian. And it swipes at the unsuspecting Foxkin 3 times. The first attack misses. The second does not. Its massive claw swiping at her legs, knocking her off her feet. And finally taking its other claw, slamming down on Vian, landing a critical strike. Vian takes 24 points of damage. As the 3 of you reel at this brutal attack, you see Marie has collapsed on the ground, sobbing and crawling on all 4s towards the doll. From across the way, one of these monsters opens its mouth, and emerging from inside of it as its jaw pulls back, you see 3 sharp spikes, and in an instant, in quick succession, they fire. They're coming towards you, Harlan. Caught by surprise, Harlan takes a spike to the shoulder as it grazes off of him, and the others miss by just a hair past his head and past his leg as Harlan takes 7 points of damage. A roar erupts from the monster closest to the doll. It charges and runs straight towards Marie.
No.
Matt, it is now Harlan's turn.
All right. Harlan looks at the one charging towards Marie and at the one on top of the prone Vian, and quickly makes a choice, charging for the one that is harrying Vian.
No! Save Marie! What are you doing?
Has a 15 to hit.
A 15 hits, roll damage.
That is 8 damage.
Harlan charges at this monstrosity as it raises its claw to take another strike at the vulnerable Vian. And as he does so, he draws his sword and he lunges. With precision and pinpoint accuracy, he aims straight for the creature's knee. And as the slim, slender blade of his small sword pierces it, the creature howls in pain and rears its head, stumbling back as Harlan pulls the sword out from the creature. And as he does so, he notices that instead of blood erupting from the wound, it's just water.
Harlan looks and sees how much effect that had on the creature.
The creature is hurt and it can't walk very well. It's in great pain, but it's still very much alive.
As he draws his sword back, he pulls the creature back toward his waiting poignard, seeking to impale it. That is a 25 to hit.
The 25 hits, roll damage.
6 damage.
You draw back your poignard, having unsheathed it quick as lightning from your belt, and shifting your stances with the left foot forward, you lunge with your right and you strike the creature one more time, stabbing it through the exact same wound, and it cries out in horrific pain as it collapses on its knees.
Right. I am going to try to interpose myself between it and Poppy.
Poppy, it's your turn.
Hearing Vienne shout out to protect Marie, she is going to whip around, bow already in her hand, arrow knocked, and as a bonus action, Hunter's Mark, the one racing towards prone Marie, and take a shot at it.
As Poppy gazes at this hulking, lumbering monstrosity charging towards a woman who has shown her so much kindness over the past 2 days, the rage builds up inside of her as we see small little green portals open up behind this creature as little white and green spider webs erupt from the portals and cling themselves to the creature. It doesn't slow it, but as the creature moves forward from that point of origin, the lines follow it, tracking its every movement. And she knocks her arrow, and she fires.
12 plus 6 is an 18.
An 18 hits. Roll for damage.
10 damage.
As Poppy takes aim, there is no more hesitation. She sees the danger, and she feels her muscles working as her father taught her for all of these years. As she holds her breath, and in between heartbeats, she releases. The arrow flies through the night, and it flies well above Marie's head and strikes the creature right in the eye. The creature stops in its track and howls into the night, clutching its face. The second creature from the portal behind you rushes up to Harlan. Enraged by the resistance it is seeing, it attacks Harlan 3 times. The first swipe is with a claw on the right hand, and Harlan, seeing this, deftly ducks underneath, his legs outstretched to fully avoid the force of the claw. But he doesn't expect the creature to have a tail. It whips around, and its tail hits him right across the face as it follows up with a backhand from the other claw. Harlan takes 16 points of damage. From across the way, one of the creatures that is on the other pier does the same as its friend. It opens its mouth into a gaping maw, its jaw stretching open wider than it should as 3 spikes emerge from it, and it fires at Marie.
No.
As the creature loads up the spikes in its head, it slips just a little bit and fires the 3 spikes once again above Marie's head, but one of them grazes her just enough to cut her dress. She doesn't react to it. She still crawls slowly towards the wooden doll. Kaylee, it's Vienne's turn.
Vienne is laying on her knees. She summons magic from within her Noxa, and a cloud of ice swirls around her. She casts Armor of Agathis with a bonus action. This provides a desperate 15 temporary hit points. And with her action, she looks towards the one that is crouching over her, drooling with spittle, and she whips out a fan from her belt with knives at each of its tips. She imbues it with magic and strikes it. Oh, that's only an 11 to hit.
An 11 hits.
It hit!
Meets it, beats it.
This is so desperate. And with the power of True Strike imbued in her fan blade, she slices at this thing's jaw. That's 5 radiant damage.
As Vienne strikes out with her fan, the blades attached to it shimmering in the night sky as they begin to glow with radiant energy. She slices across this monster's gaping jaw, fully surprised when the fan blade goes right through its head. It slumps to the ground and begins to melt into water.
Marie, And stumbling to her feet, she uses half her movement just to get up, and the other half, she goes to Marie's side, staring down at the creature that would cut down her best friend.
Down the pier, there's still one more monster, next to the wooden doll, and it rushes up just a little bit, enough to get in range, open its gaping maw, and fire 3 spikes at Poppy. The first one misses. Poppy, with her hairkin new reflexes, deftly dodges out of the way. But the next 2 are aimed right at her. She turns her body as it grazes just in front of her throat. But the final one is dead center.
Harlan sees this coming and takes his sword and deftly slices it out of the air.
As he does so, you hear the clinking of steel against a hard substance as that spike is deflected onto the ground, bouncing off the pier and splashing harmlessly into the water. From across the way, another one of the creatures sees one of the missiles of its kin batted away, and in rage opens its jaw again, disgusting regurgitating noise as its body shudders, spikes emerge from its maw. It fires 3 more at Poppy. Once again, the first one misses. As Poppy narrowly avoids it, she can feel the spike grazing her ears. But the second and the third are critical strikes.
No.
Poppy gazes at the incoming spikes as they strike her both square in the chest. Poppy takes 28 points of damage. It hurts more than anything you've ever felt, as you feel your arms just give out underneath you, trying to fight to raise them, but the pain is too much. The creature directly in front of Marie howls at this intrepid newcomer foxkin, and it swipes at her. In its blind rage, it lashes out with its claws in a complete frenzy, not even looking where it's swiping. Vianne predicts exactly where it's going with her fox-like grace, even though she's wearing a dress. As she turns left, she turns right, and she ducks swiftly, more flexible than any of you have ever seen her, and she dodges all 3 attacks. Matt, it is Harlan's turn.
Bobby, take care of that one up by Marie. I'm going to clear us a way out of here. He's going to turn to the creature in front of him and attack. That is an 11.
And 11 hits.
He sees Poppy turn away to focus on the other creature and knows his next move will not be seen by her or any of his other companions. And he calls forth the chilling touch from his blood. That is 18 points of damage.
Harlan takes a look at the creature in front of him. He feels no fear. He goes on guard, his sword raising to his chest. And then he extends it and he lunges. And as he lunges, you feel and see the tips on the ends of his coat and the point of his sword. Frost forms into ice as his lunge is paved with icicles brimming and growing from nowhere, fanning out behind him and turning his point into a massive icy arrowhead as he flies through the air and hits the creature and impales it through the arm. It cries out. It feels fear now as it clutches where Harlan has embedded into it a massive icicle.
Wow.
Stay down. He attacks again, bringing in his poniard. That's a dirty 20 to hit.
Dirty 20 hits. Roll for damage.
That is 8 damage.
Harlan calmly walks up to this beast, now backing up in fear, and slits its throat bleedingly as the creature reaches for its throat and disintegrates into water, harmlessly flowing out over the pier and into the bay.
I'm going to move over to cover Poppy from the monsters harrying her from the other dock.
Poppy, it's your turn.
Immediately, the pain is striking as spikes embed themselves in her arm, and she feels herself let go of the bow. But upon hearing Harlan's command, she readies herself back up, carrying whatever strength she has left in her, and knocks her arrow back towards the one currently assaulting Vienne and Marie. And she readies another attack. For a 24.
Poppy, fighting through the pain, knocks an arrow and fires it right between the eyes, and it lands its mark.
But the skull of this beast is thicker than any she has ever hunted. It takes 14 damage and screams out in pain and clutches its face, disoriented, but still standing.
Harlan, seeing Poppy wounded, barely holding herself up, swiftly moves to interpose himself between her and the creature. Blades up, ready to deflect any attacks coming her way.
From across the docks, the monster that Poppy did not mark, the creature reels back its head. It fires off 3 more at Poppy. Poppy is behind Harlan. She gets cover and she has a +5 to AC. Her AC is now 20. The monster rolls 15, 19, and 22.
No!
Harlan deftly deflects 2 projectiles, but one of them slips past him right by his ear, and it lands right into Poppy's clavicle, embedding itself, and she goes down. Poppy, this is the greatest pain you've ever felt, and you cannot move your body, and you struggle to breathe. Haley, it is Vienne's turn.
Vienne feels like her world is grinding to a halt. Her best friend, defenseless, in front of the dripping jaws of this monster. And then Poppy collapses. She looks to Marie with tears in her eyes. Marie, I'm so sorry. This is more important. And with telekinesis, Vienne brings Poppy's body 5 feet closer to her, locks eyes with Harlan, and then utters the word of invisibility.
As she does so, she swears that she can see, just before Poppy turns invisible, the shadow of a creature behind her, enveloping her before she vanishes. Another of the creatures from across the pier opens its maw once more and attacks 3 times. As it tries to fire the spikes once more, it coughs and it gags as the spikes come out malformed and small, and as they plop down harmlessly into the water. We see the green doll, Boyce, at the end of the pier, floating above, and he screams out, "Mommy!" And a force emanates from him, and a wave encompasses all of you and passes through the remaining monsters as they scream out in pain.
They collapse on their knees and take 12 points of damage each.
You see these purple portals that they came out of start to shift in color to green.
The portals! Hit the portals!
He screams at you from the air. The creature closest to Boyce opens its head, and these spikes are not malformed, and it is locked on right at Vienne. As it fires its 3 spikes from its malformed head, Vienne, in a surge of adrenaline, stares them down, and with her fan, she sweeps away in front of her, deflecting all 3 shots, and they fall harmlessly into the water. But the creature in front of her is not done. It circles around, and it swipes 3 times at Vienne.
Bastardo, I dare you hit me!
It rears its ugly head, takes its claws above its head, and it slams down on Vienne. But in a flash of motion, she deftly dodges it, spinning like a ballerina with her fan blade as it narrowly misses her. Harlan's turn.
We go from the eye contact of Vianne with Harlan as he sees Poppy vanish. He reaches down, tracing the dock, looking for Poppy's body with his hands. He grabs a hold of her leg. You know that feeling when it's 105 degrees out and you lay down on a tile floor? It's so cold, it shocks you at first, but then a delicious, easing coolness flows into you. That is what you feel. Wow. As Harlan's energy flows into you, healing you for 17 hit points.
As the magic flows through Poppy, she breathes a new life of air as the spikes come out of her body and her wounds close just a bit, but enough for her to stand up again.
Now you go find yourself somewhere safe. He runs towards the creature, parrying Vianne, and attacks. That is a natural 19 for 25 to hit.
25 hits, roll for damage.
That will be 5 damage.
As you attack this monstrosity, you impale it straight in the chest, and it doesn't even scream, even though every part of its body is shaking as you pull your sword back out.
Just die, he says in a voice the others have never heard before, and he brings out his poniard. That's a natural 17 for a 23 to hit.
23 hits, roll for damage.
7 damage.
There is just a faint trace of frost erupting from your lips ever so subtly. As you take your poniard, you reverse the grip and you jump up and you slam it like an ice pick down onto this monster's head, and it screams out finally in pain as it erupts into water underneath your feet. The monster is dead.
He moves in front of Marie, trying to shield her.
It's Poppy's turn. As Poppy looks around, slightly discombobulated but ready and back in the fight, she sees that these portals have turned green.
Finally finding the energy back in herself thanks to Uncle Harlan's lay on hand, she pops back up into a standing position and heeds his advice, running behind one of the wooden crates of the many that are scattered across the docks. But as she was down, she remembered the young boy's voice, commanding them to go after the portals. So knocking a single arrow and aiming for the farthest portal across the dock, she's going to hunter's mark the portal, then take a shot at it.
Tiny little holes in the air appear. These little spider webs fly out and encase this portal. She knocks an arrow, and while invisible, she's going to roll for attack with advantage.
It'll be a total of 24 to hit it.
24 hits. No need to roll for damage. Poppy's arrow flies through the air true, and it strikes dead center of the green portal, and it absorbs her arrow. Momentarily, silence. Until you hear an explosion as all 3 portals collapse in on themselves and the remaining monsters turn to water. You now exit combat. Marie crawls her way and then eventually stands and sprints towards the wooden boy at the end of the pier. But a voice rings out.
No, Mummy, please. I can't stay anymore.
What do you mean, voice? What do you mean? Come to Mummy, please. Come down. Come to Mummy.
I'm sorry, Mummy. I'm glad I saw you again. Oh, but I can't stay.
And he starts to float backwards, further into the bay.
When we die, we will return to the wondrous sea, Mummy. And one day, we'll be together again. Where we can play and eat and laugh But right now, I have to go. And you have people who need you. I love you so much, Mummy.
Please.
I'm sorry, Mummy.
And he floats backwards, his body glowing brighter and brighter green. As he tilts his head up to the sky. And you swear you can hear. Thank you. The light emitting from his body becomes blindingly bright. In an instant, the entire dock lights up. It's bright as day. He explodes in a sickly green, fiery mess, spraying water all across the docks as if it were raining. Harlan, you are the only one who recognizes this. This is the same kind of explosion when you lost your last partner.
Harlan stares at the light for a long moment, and then turns to Poppy. Let me see.
May, let me see you. Let me.
And he just bear hugs her. Oh, you were amazing. You did so good.
No,
You did so good. He pulls Poppy further in, and he looks silently at the other pair further down the dock.
Marie collapses onto the ground, clutching her knees, sobbing uncontrollably.
Vianne wraps her arms around Marie. They've been here before. When Marie's son drowned in this bay. And they're sobbing. They're sobbing, but there is also triumph. Because Poppy is still alive.
As Vianne gently strokes Marie's hair, all four of you start hearing whistles and boots on cobblestone as you recognize the sound of the Frost Guard rapidly approaching the docks.
Harlan, we have to go.
All right. Okay, we gotta go right now. Marie? And without another thought, he goes and scoops her up. All right, we're going right now. Come on.
As we begin to approach the desperate, dirty, dank city of Venois, Vianne realizes that they need a distraction. And she takes the coin purse with 160 gold, grabs a handful, maybe 50 or so, and throws it into the streets. Dinner's up, boys! We should go.
The moment the coins clink on the cobblestones, you see a bevy of heads poking out of corners, poking out of alleyways, as the desperate, the poor, the destitute all creep out slowly and then realizing what's on the ground, rush towards the coins and try to scoop them up, and they start fighting each other for every single scrap they can get. 15 turn into 30, turn into 60. Then 100 people fighting and rioting for gold coins scattered across the ground. As the three of you escape into the night. The next few hours are a blur. You clean Marie up, and you bind your wounds, and you go to sleep. And the next day, you wake up to a different Venois. The Frost Guard have closed off the port indefinitely. No ships in or out. As news of this spreads across the city, hundreds of merchants prepare for land trips out of Venois and into the rest of the wildlands on foot. With the provisions that Vianne has brought, and with the supplies that Harlan secretly picked up, the three of you prepare to proceed on your journey on foot. As the sun shines on a bright autumn day, the three of you say your goodbyes to a distraught but strong Madame Marie. Josephine, Bessette, and Colette bid you goodbye, waving tearfully as you depart. And as the three of you walk through the city gates and into the wildlands once more, Poppy turns her head back and takes a look at the city one last time.
It was her first experience in any type of city. All that she can think when she looks back at it is that she hopes she didn't make life too difficult for Vienne's little family.
She turns her head and walks over to her companions.
A soldier with a mysterious past and a beastkin woman with a beguiling smile, as the three of you set off into the wildlands. And that's where we end our session.
God.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, first topic that I want to talk about, first combat. Well done, guys. Well done, everyone. You survived.
Barely. Oh my God.
Yeah, kind of. That was terrifying.
What a relentless fucking banger that was. That was so good.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was scared. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I thought I was done for. I thought I was coming back as Marie.
No, Marie's my backup character.
Sorry.
I like that. Like, I offhandedly made this character, and you're like, "No, I want to play her." I'm like, "Do you?"
100%. The combat was incredible, and for our listeners, we just got our hands on the new 2024 rules. So if you noticed any changes between previous sessions and this one, it's because we just converted our characters to the best of our abilities. Poppy is rocking some fantastic homebrew. Holy, oh my goodness. But yeah, I desperately want to talk a little bit about the mechanics of that combat because it was really cool rocking those new builds.
Yeah.
I mean, True Strike?
True Strike is good now. That was so cool. Watching you do that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was so ace.
If you liked the sneak peek, you can find the rest of this post-session chat and much more on our Patreon. Also, if you'd like to interact with myself or our fabulous cast, or just chat with fellow fans, please join our Discord. Links to both are included in the description. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.